and welcome to Asian Pulse TV, an informative and resourceful station. I'm your host, Shannon Pramal. We're broadcasting from the unceded territories of the Silvertooth, Katzie, Musqueam, and Kwantlen Nation. We feel very blessed for the generosity of the first people who share their traditional and ancestral land with us to live, laugh, and grow on. June is Heart and Stroke Month. Do you know that 920 million Canadians suffer from stroke in Canada, and that women are 3 times higher than men to have a stroke? Strokes in pregnant women are also 3 times higher. A study in 2019 says that 32% more women died than men from a stroke. The reason being is that when women have strokes, they're not taken seriously by the healthcare providers, and heart and stroke always seems like a men's disease, and they're given all the care and attention, whereas women are actually dying more in our society. Not only that, but with the heat stroke we're having in BC, it's important to keep an eye on the elderly people who have immune systems that are compromised and children as well. Keep them cool and hydrated by drinking plenty of water. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back after a few words from our sponsors. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005. Bollywood Banquet Hall and Conference Center, located at Pyle Business Center at 201-8166 128th Street in Surrey. No celebration is too small to accommodate you. They have newly renovated 2 halls to serve you, up to 1,000 guest capacity, top-notch chefs to delight you with delectable and heavenly cuisine. So just call Bollywood Banquet Hall at 604-598-2700 for your events.
Venisi Mobile Detailing Services. They offer commercial trucks, cars, SUV, boats, bikes, RVs, and much more. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859. Just give them a call at 778-808-2859 and they will do all kind of services at your home.
Thank you, sponsors. Now we have in our studio Monita Sundar-Dunn, who is in our studio to talk about prostate cancer. She is a provincial program manager for prostate cancer supportive care program at the Vancouver Prostate Center. Please have a look.
Hello and welcome to Asian Pulse. My guest is Monita Sundar-Dunn, and she is a provincial program manager for the prostate cancer for the supportive care program at Vancouver Prostate Center. And she is in our studios to talk about men's health and about prostate cancer. Welcome, Monita.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Talk a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself, who you are.
Sure. My name's Monita Sundar. I grew up in the North Vancouver area, and I've done 2 degrees over the last several years. I've done a bachelor's in sociology, and I've completed a master's in gerontology. And I have a sibling, a sister and a brother, and I have a daughter as well, and of course a husband.
Yes. So how long have you been doing this work? I mean, what interests you that you want to go into about prostate cancer and men's health?
Yeah. So I've been working in healthcare for about 27 years. I started off in cardiology, and after I had completed my master's degree, I ended up diverting into a different area, and that led me to prostate cancer, which was of interest to me because I know lots of people with prostate cancer. And I've been with the program now, in September, it'll be 9 years, which is pretty amazing.
Did anybody very close to your family had the prostate cancer?
Yeah, my dad actually did.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that really resonated with me. He was diagnosed 20 years ago, and he had high-risk, high-grade prostate cancer. And at that time, it was a time where because I was in cardiology, I didn't really know anything about prostate cancer, and you're always just kind of Googling, like, what's the course of action, what happens, and, when I actually got into this program in 2014, even though my dad had already had his treatment and he's doing really, really well, it didn't occur to me about how how much more information that we weren't told back in those days. And so I'm really proud to be a part of this program where we can really support patients from the time of diagnosis and onwards.
So are men very reluctant to go have their prostate checked out?
I think-
What is their
yeah.
hesitation? I mean, when I look at prostate cancer versus breast health for women, women will go and have their breast examined in case if there is lump bumps or whatever. But I find in my own experience that I didn't have any experience knowing anybody who had prostate cancer, that men are not that reluctant or open to go to the doctors and talk about.
Yes, I think men in general don't go to the doctor as, you know, as women, young females were kind of instilled upon that we need to go do all these checkups, whereas men really aren't. And the idea, I think, of having someone put their finger in their private area, that is probably a bit of a deterrent for them. But it's really, really important for them to go and get checked regularly. As far as PSA testing, it's just a simple blood test that they should be doing. I think men at 50 years old should be at least starting to get a baseline PSA level. And if you have a family history of prostate cancer, so anybody that's your father, brother, uncle, should probably go to get it tested a little bit earlier, and just to have that baseline and then check every couple years, definitely.
So is it hereditary? I mean, if there is a family of prostate cancer, the chances are that.
Yes, you have a higher risk of getting prostate cancer, for sure.
So is there a certain age, or do you say 50 and over?
So 50 is when you should start getting a PSA level test. It's
Even
just-
you don't feel nothing is wrong. You are pure, fit,
Yes.
exercising and doing all those right things.
Yeah.
You should still go and have it checked.
Yes, and just, you know, to be mindful, just because, you know, if you go get your PSA level tested at 50 years old, if you have no family history, it doesn't mean that you have prostate cancer. It could be other reasons that, you know, that marker is a little bit high. So there's other modalities that they figure out to confirm that it is prostate cancer. So the PSA test is just a simple blood test, but it could be indicative of BPH, prostatitis, you know, a urinary infection. There's lots of different things. So you really should be going to your physician and talking to them and at least getting that started for sure.
When you talk about cancer, thing that comes to my mind, or anybody, is like a death penalty. If you have any kind of cancer. I lost my brother to brain cancer. Within 6 to 8 months, he passed away, and there was no cure for that. But that's separate. But when you hear about cancer, prostate cancer, men think, oh, that's the end of my life. I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
I mean, this is such a, but we have come a long way, right?
Definitely. So right now the stats are 1 in 8 Canadian men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. But if it is caught and treated early, the mortality rate is really low, which is wonderful to hear. So we have definitely come a long way, but it's getting to make sure that it's treated early. That's one of the things to be concerned about.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do? What are support groups? So once a person is diagnosed with prostate cancer and they are getting treatment from the doctors and with cancer clinic, what is
Right.
your role?
Yeah, so once you go to your family physician, they do a blood test. If you know, sometimes some patients have other symptoms like urgency, going to the bathroom, are not able to go to the bathroom. So there's lots of different things that they figure out. They do a biopsy, that will actually tell you if you have prostate cancer. Once that's confirmed, and that's usually being told by your urologist, and once that is confirmed, you obviously meet with your urologist, they tell you have prostate cancer, and then you have the choice of doing radiation therapy or having surgery. So you would just do your 2 consults, you would do that, and then you'd make a decision which treatment option you would like to go.
What is the survival rate of people that are diagnosed and they got this treatment early?
Yeah, so like I said, if it's caught and treated early, and depending on the Gleason score, it's at least 95% in terms of survival rate.
It's pretty high, very high.
Yeah, and also just to note too that prostate cancer is generally a slow-growing disease. So I know when patients get diagnosed with prostate cancer, they may be concerned that if they're waiting for a consult with the radiation oncologist, which could take up to a month or longer, they get a little bit anxious because they're still trying to figure out which treatment option to decide upon. But generally, prostate cancer is a slow-growing cancer.
So should people be concerned? Because right now, when I was listening to Minister of Health, Adrian Dix, they said they have contracted a place out of British Columbia to USC to go get a treatment like radiation and not radiation and
Radiation therapy.
therapy. When people are sent across the border to have that, would that people might say, oh, well, I don't want to go, because radiation, after you get the radiation, it does regardless of, doesn't matter where you have cancer and you have radiation. It's not an easy process on the body, and traveling wise, waiting at the border and all that. Is that a good choice, or should we be building more center in here that maybe people don't have to wait at the lineup at the border?
Yeah, I think that's what's happening right now that we're seeing, where, it's not ideal to have treatment across the border, but we are where we are right now. And I do understand that they are planning to create another cancer institute in Kamloops, which is kind of exciting. But unfortunately, there is a bit of wait. There's lots of different issues in terms of staffing issues with radiation oncologists and nurses, and so that does impact everything.
I think there is in one Kamloops and one Nanaimo. I think
That's right. Actually,
Yeah, and there's one in Nanaimo, because they should have it here because the population is very dense in Metro.
We do have 5 cancer agency centers here. So there's Surrey, Vancouver, there's Kelowna, there's Victoria, and there is one in Abbotsford. So we have 5 to date. So
I think they can take care of it if we don't have people coming out of province.
yeah, it's helpful to have that in the interior, and I guess it's growing as well. So it's great that there is going to be a center in Kamloops as well as Nanaimo.
So what is your role as a supportive care provider?
Yeah, so we offer patients, so once they're diagnosed with prostate cancer, we offer a number of education sessions and clinical services, and patients can really take advantage of our services at any point in time that they feel comfortable doing. One of the great things that we do have is our education session. So when patients are newly diagnosed, we have an education session where we have a urologist and a radiation oncologist that talk about both treatment options. But even before that, they talk about what is the PSA level, what is the differences between high risk, low risk, what are the grading scales of the Gleason score. So it really kind of helps you understand your cancer diagnosis. And then from there, they go on to go into a bit deeper about what is involved with surgery and radiation therapy and the different side effects. And I feel like that is probably one of the best sessions that we can provide to patients. And speaking from my own personal experience, I mentioned that my father had prostate cancer 20 years ago. I think when patients get diagnosed with prostate cancer, and if your family member is not there and you go into the office and the physician tells you you have prostate cancer, I don't think a lot of information after that is absorbed because you're so busy, thinking about, I just was told I've had cancer.
Yeah.
So everything about after that, you don't really hear. And so this education session gives you a really good opportunity to come in. We actually do it via Zoom, which is even more helpful, but to come into a live group education session, have these 2 physicians present both treatment options and talk about the history of the prostate, the PSA level, what prostate cancer is, and to be able to digest that information and make an informed decision is really, really valuable for patients. And that's just one of the modules that we offer. We actually offer 8 different modules. So We know that there's a lot of side effects from prostate cancer treatment. It impacts sexual function, incontinence. If you're on hormone therapy, there's hot flashes, there's weight gain, there's a risk of cardiovascular disease. So there's a number of side effects. Not to say that you're going to get all of them, but it's always good to be aware of what that is. And so, the 8 education sessions that we have different modules that will tailor to specific themes in there. And I think the more information that patients have, the helpful it is for them. And we do also offer clinical services. So you can see our sexual health nurse one-on-one. You can see our nurse practitioner, our exercise physiologist, our registered dietitian. And they really give that supportive care to patients, which I think is really, really helpful, and I think it alleviates their anxiety. We also have a clinical counselor on hand if, there's just a lot of information that is coming to patients and they're having a hard time absorbing all this information. This gives them an opportunity to talk to our clinical counselor, which is amazing.
So by the time, I'm just planning to listen, that you are diagnosed, treatment sort of will start. And there's so many different things that you need to follow. Like I say, so many different dietitians, and you need to see this, because once you find out you have cancer, everything else that you talked about, it doesn't go in. It just goes off.
Exactly.
That this is what I have, right? But I think with the help or the support of all these professionals, you would be able to get through that. So how long in your experience have you seen somebody who has been diagnosed with this prostate cancer till the treatment that they don't have to see nobody after that? How long will that be?
So
or it depends on different...
Yeah, I think it depends on, patients' cancer risk, so not everyone's the same. And they can come into our program at any point in time. So when they're really ready to take advantage and use our modules is probably at best. And, some people aren't ready to move forward with anything until they've had their treatment, and then they're ready to start either seeing an exercise physiologist or a sexual health nurse or a physiotherapist, because again, we do know that the cancer treatment does impact sexual function and incontinence issues. And so it's really at that patient's ability when they're ready to take on those education sessions and clinical appointments.
And we talked the side effects. We talked about the side effects, right?
Yeah, so it can impact erectile dysfunction. There's bowel and bladder issues as well. So if you're having surgery, you do end up having urinary incontinence for a period of time. Down the road, if you've had radiation, sometimes it can impact the bowel as well. So there's multiple side effects, and again, we don't know who's going to have what and to what degree. If you're on hormone therapy, that does have a lot more possible side effects, but again, not everybody's going to get everything.
All depends, yeah.
Yeah.
All depends how healthy you are.
And how that individual is, right? And I think a lot of it also depends on cancer risk. And in terms of erectile dysfunction, it really depends on the age of the man, how good their sexual function was initially, what type of treatment they've had. So for sexual function, we look at those 3 factors.
Will it make a difference if it's early
In terms of sexual function, no.
Okay.
So it's really about the age, how your sexual function was before you've had treatment, and if the nerves were spared.
Mm-hmm. So do they have support groups in different cities? Like you work out of Vancouver, and there are different, we live in Metro Vancouver, and somebody is living in Maple Ridge or Burnaby or Coquitlam and all that.
Yes, absolutely. So our program, we focus more on the education session and the clinical services. Mm-hmm. So patients can take advantage of that through our program. But there's support groups all across the city. And there's usually a support group in each city center. And if you're interested in having peer-to-peer support, that's a great opportunity to be able to participate in those support groups and talk to people who've had prostate cancer and find out, what their experiences is. Everybody's experiences is different, but to be able to go and talk to people and, just have that peer-to-peer support is really important.
Peer-to-peer means a group support group, or people that have gone through the same thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you do online as well?
They do. So for the peer support groups, they can do it online, or you can actually go in person now that the COVID restrictions have calmed down a bit. So they do host support groups in person as well.
Anything else you want to share that you do that we haven't mentioned, or?
Yeah, I think it's just really important. I think patients be proactive about their health. Again, that's just making sure that if they haven't had a PSA testing, they're 50 years old, it's really important that they do that. If you've had a family history of prostate cancer, you do it earlier than 50 years old, so likely in your 40s, to go and at least get a baseline test and really just be proactive about looking after your health. Once you are diagnosed with prostate cancer, it would be great to be able to contact our program, and we can really help them during the course of their treatment and post-care. And I think they would find those services very valuable.
Because we always hear about the healthcare crisis we have in this country or in the province. Is people have to wait to have the PSA done, or do they have to wait, or you can be done in doctor's office with?
Yeah, you just go to your family doctor, ask for a PSA requisition, and you would just go get your blood test done at I think it's BC Bio. They would just go do that, and I think the results you can get within a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And seeing a professional after that?
So you would go back to your family doctor, and they would look at what the values are, and if there was any concerns, they would go from there and then maybe refer you to a urologist.
Yeah.
But it would really depend on the value of that PSA test.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, how far you are or what.
How far you are, if you have any symptoms, and it would also depend on if they've done the rectal exam, if there was any concerns there, then they would use a stepwise approach, and if there was any concerns or symptoms, they would move on to a biopsy. And from there, that would actually confirm if you do or don't have prostate cancer.
June is Men's Health Month, and I think it's very, very important for the men to be able to take care of themselves, right?
Yes.
I mean, as women, we do try to do it, but I think sometimes men are very hesitant. Once they know they are well, healthy, and they eat properly, exercise, and all that, and they say to themselves in their head, oh, nothing can be wrong with me, but you never know.
You never know. And, we even have actually the spouses that are mostly, big advocates for the men once they've been diagnosed with prostate cancer. They're usually the ones calling our program and saying, Manita, my husband has prostate cancer. We'd like to take advantage of your sessions. And, again, men aren't the greatest at
advocate for themselves.
Yeah, and just talking about their health in general, which, we really need to change that conversation. They really need to not be afraid or ashamed of what's going on, and to just rely on, their partner, and to be proactive in seeking support.
Any last word of wisdom for the men that are watching, or the people or the families that are watching your program today or watching you?
Well, I would, again, be proactive about your health. Really important to at least go to your family doctor and get a good checkup every year. And, I think by doing that, you can at least be at peace of mind that everything is fine. So yeah, go to the doctor.
Yes. Oh, they always say prevention is better than cure.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming out all the way to come and educate me and educate our viewers about prostate cancer and men's health and everything about prostate cancer that I even didn't know when people should be. I have boys around that age that I should be just hinting to the wife that they can tell the husband to go have it checked.
They should, yes.
They should. Everybody should be checked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me today.
No problem. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monita, for sharing this valuable information with our viewers. Now we have some announcements that you would like to note down, so have your pens and paper ready. June 21st is the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere and declared as Yoga Day. Yoga is a physical, mental, and spiritual practice which originated from ancient India. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi declared June 21st as International Yoga Day. Watch out for yoga locations in your city and participate in yoga. Yoga raises awareness about the benefits of mind and body practice. Richmond Night Market is open now on every weekend until the end of September. They have cuisines from all over the world, so be sure to go and try out the different types of foods and support the Richmond Night Market. Father's Day Walk and Run is taking place on June 18th, starting at 10 a.m. at Burnaby Lake. This is their 25th years of celebration of fundraising for prostate cancer for men. For more information, you can go to their website at www.fathersdayrun.ca. If you missed our show, you can watch it again tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. and again on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. on Shaw Cable. All of our shows are also uploaded on YouTube under Asian Pulse TV. Please watch and share. Asian Pulse also brings 3 other shows every week. Fiji in Focus you can watch on Tuesdays at 10 p.m., Thursdays at 2:30 p.m., and Sundays at 4 p.m. The Camilla Singh Show on Mondays at 10 a.m. and again on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. and BT Vibes TV on Thursdays at 10 p.m. and again on Sundays at 4:30 p.m. All shows are uploaded onto YouTube channels as well. Before I leave, I'll leave you here with these thoughts. Choose people who choose you. Ask how you are. See you. Let you be you. Feel good to your nervous system. You can breathe easily around. You don't need to perform for. Are good for your mental health. Want to see you win. Don't try to control you. Bye, Sasha Tazi. Have a great week, and with that being said, we'll see you all next week. I'm your host, Shannon Pamal, signing off. I understand how important it is to have a place called home, and it's frustrating using your hard-earned money on rent. Vic Prasad can make you a homeowner. Get pre-approved services provided to first-time buyers and new immigrants. You can qualify for mortgage even if you have bad credit. Call Vic Prasad now on 604-306-6647. Vic Prasad is associated with Craft Mortgages Canada Incorporated.
For any kind of visa-related services, contact Milky Way Immigration, a galaxy of opportunities located at Unit 209-9547 152 Street, Surrey, BC. They have licensed immigration consultants, placement officers, and LMIA experts to meet your immigration and recruitment needs. Book one-time free consultation either on Facebook or by calling 604-396-0005.